Hi students, I'm Prakash, Academic Advisor, Masterminds. Here is a short video on how to prepare problematic papers. And this video will apply to students of all courses, especially professional courses like CA, CMA, CS. And students of all levels will get benefited from this video. In this video, I'm going to explain the scientific ways of preparing problematic papers. It's better for all of you to get ready with a notebook and pen and note down the important points that I'm going to explain in this video. You may not be able to implement all the points in a single day, but every day try to implement at least a few points so that over a period of time, you will be able to implement all the points that I am going to explain. So why this session are learning objectives? So I just want to guide you on how to improve your efficiency and effectiveness in preparing problematic papers. What is this efficiency? Being able to do more amount of work in lesser amount of time. That is how efficiency is measured. So what is the difference between an efficient person and inefficient person? An efficient person will be able to do a work in lesser time when compared to that of inefficient person. And effectiveness, that means the quality of work. Effectiveness measures the quality of work. Efficiency measures the time frame within which we are able to finish the work. So we must be able to finish our preparation in lesser amount of time and in a very effective manner. So my objective in designing this video is to help you to improve your efficiency as well as effectiveness in preparing problematic papers. So I think everybody is aware that problematic papers are very scoring. Even you can score around 90 or above marks in problematic papers, which is not so easy to score in theory subjects. So that's why we must be able to aim scoring exemption range of marks in every problematic paper. And I hope that everybody is aware in IPCC or CA Inter or CA Final or any other professional course, a student must be able to get exemption in at least 2 papers in each group. A student must be able to score exemption in at least 2 papers of each group. Then only the student will be able to qualify his group in the first attempt itself. So for scoring such kind of exemption range of marks in 2 papers, it's always better to choose problematic papers. There might be some exceptional cases where some students feel that they are not good at problematic papers, rather they are very good at theory papers. So those cases will be considered as exceptions. So 90% of the students in those cases, what happens is they will be very good at problematic papers and they will be able to score exemption range of marks in problematic papers if they prepare in a scientific manner. So I just want to explain such kind of scientific techniques on preparing for problematic papers. Let us start with a small story. It is a story of a woodcutter.
Once upon a time, in a small town, there was a very strong woodcutter who didn't have a job. So the woodcutter decided to ask for a job in a timber merchant, and he got it. The pay was really good, and so was the work condition. For those reasons, the woodcutter was determined to do his best. His boss gave him an axe and showed him the area where he was supposed to work. The first day, the woodcutter brought 18 trees. He was very excited. "Congratulations," the boss said. "Go on that way." Very motivated by the boss's words, the woodcutter tried harder the next day, but he could only bring 15 trees. The third day, he tried even harder, but he could only bring in 10 trees. Day after day, he was bringing less and less trees. I must be losing my strength, the woodcutter thought. He went to the boss and apologized, saying that he could not understand what was going on. The boss asked, "When was the last time you sharpened your axe?" "Sharpen? I had no time to sharpen my axe. I have been very busy trying to cut trees." Moral of the story? Our lives are like that. We sometimes get so busy that we don't take time to sharpen the axe.
So what we can learn from this story? In this particular example, the woodcutter is very much similar to the students. Students are also really busy in their day-to-day preparation and they are forgetting to upgrade their skills. In this particular story, sharpening of axe is similar to improving our skill sets. The skill sets required to qualify a 10th class are different from skill sets required to qualify intermediate. That's why every student who qualifies 10th class will not be able to qualify intermediate because they need to upgrade their skills. If the students are unable to upgrade their skills, obviously they will not be able to qualify their intermediate. Similarly, the skill sets required to qualify intermediate are different from that of skill sets required to get a seat in IIT JEE. That's why every student who is able to qualify intermediate is unable to get a rank in JEE examinations. In that manner, at every stage of life, the skill sets required will get changed. So even in your career also, the skill sets required to qualify CA are entirely different from the skill sets required to get settled well in your life, in your career. So at each stage of life, we must be able to upgrade our skills. So even though we are busy, we have to spend some time in upgrading our skills. Whatever the video you are watching today is like upgrading your skills with respect to handling problematic papers. So it is, in other words, you are trying to upgrade your skills with respect to preparing problematic papers by watching this video. If you fail to upgrade your skills, you cannot handle the future challenges. So whatever today will not be, future will not be like that. Every day will be posing a different challenge to you. Future is very uncertain. No one knows how the future will be. When you fail to improve your skills, then you may even get demotivated since you cannot achieve your targets. Just like in this particular story, the woodcutter got demotivated because he was unable to find out the reason why every day he is cutting lesser number of trees. So same thing will happen to you also. If you are unable to improve your skill sets, you will get demotivated. That's why, my dear students, you try to upgrade your skills. So no matter how busy you are, you must spend some time to improve your skills. Stage 1 is know your enemy. Who is our enemy now? The examination. The examination itself is our enemy. So will you try to conquer a country or a kingdom without knowing its secrets? Impossible. Similarly, you cannot conquer the examination without having insightful information with respect to the examinations. That's why you must know your enemy. That means you must have thorough knowledge with respect to examinations. Sir, what shall we do to get thorough knowledge with respect to examinations? You need to analyze the past examination question papers. You need to analyze the question papers of at least 5 recent examinations. At least 5 recent examinations. So that you can know the loopholes of examinations. Don't forget to refer RTPs of at least 3 attempts and MTPs of 2 recent exams under old and new syllabus. So old students shall refer the RTPs and MTPs of new syllabus, and new syllabus students shall refer the RTPs and MTPs of old syllabus also, because the syllabus is almost same. Analyze important trends in previous exams using Discover or similar book like Scanner. So you can find books like Scanner or Discover being developed by masterminds. So analyze previous examination trends by observing that book. Sir, is it required to analyze both? That is, question papers on one side and Discover on another side? Yes, you need to refer both. So by analyzing question papers, you will understand a different set of information, and by analyzing Discover, you will understand a different set of information. For example, in your question paper, the first question is compulsory. In majority cases, first question will be compulsory question. You cannot know this by looking at the Discover. You can know this information only by looking at the question paper. So which chapter can be taken as choice? Which chapter can be taken as choice? This information can be obtained only by looking at the past exam question papers. You cannot come to any conclusion by looking at the Discover or Scanner. So that's why everything will have its own importance. Analyzing the past exam question papers has got its own importance. Analyzing Discover or Scanner has got its own importance. You need to do both. It is like looking at the route to reach your destination in Google Maps before starting a journey. So before starting a journey, we will observe the route through Google Maps. Similarly, analyzing past examination papers means analyzing the route in Google Maps before starting our journey. By the time faculty starts teaching a new chapter, analyze the past examination trends of the chapter. That means by the time faculty starts a new chapter, you must be ready to listen to this chapter by analyzing past examination trends. So know your enemy. What are the areas to be focused while doing the above analysis? While analyzing the past examination question papers, or scanner or discover, so what are the areas you need to observe? Right? First one is weightage of each chapter in each subject, so that you can pay more attention on the chapters with highest weightage. You can pay less amount of focus on the chapters with least amount of weightage. So you must be able to analyze the weightage of each chapter in the examination. What needs to be prepared, what can be left as choice. This can be better understood by analyzing the past exam question papers. Don't forget that even the All India first ranker does not know the complete syllabus. So everybody will leave at least some portion of syllabus. So where the decision making skills lies is, you must be able to left the areas which will not be covered in the examination. How can you know that? You can know it by analyzing the past examination question papers. So weightage of each source in the exam, that is from which source each problem or question is being given in the exam. That means weightage of RTP, weightage of NTP, weightage of study material, weightage of past examination problems, etc. From which source, how many marks are being covered in the examination? How questions or problems are being given in the examination? Are they giving direct questions? Are they modifying the questions in the examination? This you need to analyze. Based on that, you can mold your preparation. Weightage of theory questions in each problematic paper. I hope everybody is aware that every problematic paper consists of some portion of theory also. So what is the weightage of theory questions in each problematic paper? Identify the loopholes in the question paper and try to encash the same. You need to identify the loopholes and try to encash the same. For example, when I studied my CA course, I was lot scared about income tax subject. So even today, I doesn't know how to fill my IT return. I doesn't know anything about income tax, but I was able to qualify my CA inter and I was able to qualify my CA final. Why? How? Very simple. I was able to analyze the past examination papers properly. I was able to identify the loopholes in the question paper, and I tried my level best to focus on those loopholes, and I encashed those loopholes. For example, when I studied my CA final, highest weightage was given for latest amendments. Luckily, I went to the examination with thorough preparation of all the amendments. I thoroughly prepared all the amendments. As a result, I was able to qualify my CA final income tax in the first attempt itself, even though I doesn't know anything about income tax. I doesn't know anything about income tax, but I was very much thorough with the amendments. Luckily, majority portion of the question paper consisted only questions from latest amendments. So I was able to perform well. How much you know in the examination, that's not a big deal. Whether you know the questions being asked in the question paper or not, that is more important. So if you are able to analyze the past examination papers and able to guess what will be there in the question paper and focus on those areas with very lesser preparation, you can comfortably qualify in the examination. So you need to identify the loopholes in the question paper and you need to encash the same. You need to decide the depth of the preparation required in each chapter based on the above analysis. Make SWOT analysis of the subject. That is, what are the strengths, weaknesses, and what are your strengths and weaknesses. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the question paper? What are the strengths and weaknesses of you? And you need to match. For example, for some students, they feel theory subjects to be very boring and not so interesting, and they keep on postponing the preparation of theory subjects. So such a student shall not keep theory subjects as pet subjects. Such students shall plan problematic subjects as pet subjects. That's why, my dear students, you need to analyze your strengths and weaknesses. You need to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the examination, and you need to match the both. Match your strengths and weaknesses with opportunities and threats in the examination. Decide the depth of preparation required in each chapter. What will happen if I don't do it? So the consequence is very simple. The chances of getting failed in the examination will be very high, and you will not be able to achieve the marks you are desiring. Fix the target percentage of marks you would like to achieve in each subject or paper. Now, I have a very small example here. Now, let us assume I just want to plan a journey to Delhi. I want to plan a journey to Delhi. Will I start my journey without deciding the destination? No, definitely not. So before starting a journey, I must first decide the destination, where I want to reach. That's very important. Similarly, before starting your preparation, you must have a thorough understanding of what you want to achieve. How many marks would you like to achieve in each paper? What is your target which you would like to achieve? That's very important. So another example is bow and arrow. If I want to strike a arrow using a bow, target is very important. There is no much difference in the efforts with target and without target. But what makes a sense is when I put a target and strike a arrow using my bow. So, my dear students, target is very, very important. Otherwise, your efforts will become fruitless. You need to channelize all your efforts towards your target. So, first you need to fix your target, you need to work hard, and you need to channelize all your efforts towards that target. In what way fixing a target is important? Before starting construction of a building, you must have clarity on purpose or objective of building. A building constructed for one purpose will not be suitable for another purpose. For example, if I have constructed a school, it will not be suitable for any other purpose except to run a school. So that's why before starting the construction of building itself, I must decide that I must take a decision and have clarity on the purpose or objective of the building. Various decisions to be taken depends upon the purpose or usage of the building. For example, various decisions with respect to architecture purely depends on the purpose or usage of the building. For example, I cannot construct a school and later on use it for a shopping mall. Impossible. So constructing a shopping mall is entirely different and constructing a school is entirely different. You can evaluate every decision based on the purpose. So if you don't have clarity on purpose, then how can you evaluate the decisions? Difference in the way you do shopping when you prepare a shopping list. When you prepare a shopping list, your shopping will be precise and you will not be purchasing unnecessary things. But when your shopping list is not clear, when you don't make a shopping list, then you will be starting impulsive purchases. So there is no meaning in that purchases. Ultimately, after reaching home, you will repent that I have unnecessarily purchased several things. I might have postponed them. That's why shopping list is very important before going for shopping. Similarly, if you don't have a target, then journey becomes directionless. Example, bow and arrow. So without putting a target, there is no use of striking a bow, striking an arrow. How we plan for a journey? So once we fix about the destination, for example, I just want to reach Delhi. Based on that, I need to choose the mode of transportation. Based on that, I need to make arrangements for number of days of journey. So all these decisions purely depend on my objective, that is the destination which I want to reach. If I want to plan a journey to London and I cannot take a two-wheeler as a means of transportation. If I want to do journey to New Delhi, I cannot choose two-wheeler as a means of transportation. So various decisions purely depend on the objective. That's why we must have a clear-cut clarity on the objective. Similarly, for a student, what is objective here is how many marks we would like to achieve. That's target is very important. How much efforts to put, how many resources to be prepared depends upon target. For example, if you want to just have qualifying marks, you are not aspiring more than that, just qualifying marks around, that is 50%. Then preparing study material is highly enough. You need not even refer more than that. But if you are aspiring to score higher level of marks, then you must prepare some other sources also. For example, take your intermediate mathematics as example. Just by preparing the academy book, you can answer all types of questions being posed in the examination. Intermediate, I'm talking about junior inter, senior inter. But just by preparing academy book, can you answer all 2 marks questions? No. If your aim is just to get some 80 to 90% marks in the examination, then preparing academy book is highly enough. But if you want to score 100% marks, then definitely academy book will not be sufficient because you might be getting 2 marks questions from various sources which you are not aware. In such a case, what we need to do? We need to prepare some other additional sources also so as to face such kind of new questions of 2 marks. That's why, my dear students, so target is very important. Based on that, you need to plan your preparation. While fixing the target marks, don't forget that You may not score equal marks in all the subjects or papers with the same efforts. For example, with the same efforts, you may score very good marks in problematic papers, but with the same efforts, you may not score equal number of marks in theory subjects. You can score more marks in problematic papers only, but not theory papers. You must have at least 2 favorite subjects in each group. Better to choose problematic papers rather than theory papers. So as to qualify each group, you must have 2 pet subjects in each group. So better to choose problematic subjects as your pet subjects. You may not achieve your target perfectly, but your journey becomes directionless if there is no target. But we must fix some target. For example, government never achieves its target, but it will prepare budget every year. So without budget, everything becomes chaos. They doesn't know how they are spending, on what they are spending. So they will be spending without any priorities. But when there is a budget, we'll start spending based on our priorities. Stage 3. Care to be taken while attending the classes. Your preparation starts in classroom. So it is unlike others who feel that preparation starts after completion of syllabus. No, that's wrong. It's completely wrong. Your preparation starts in the classroom. So your performance in the examination depends on how attentively you are listening to classes. Your preparation starts in the classroom itself. That's why don't be in a wrong notion that your preparation starts after completion of syllabus. No, your preparation starts in the classroom itself. Give more importance to listen what faculty is teaching rather than writing notes. Several students have a bad habit that they will start writing notes while faculty is teaching. Never do that. While faculty is teaching, completely focus on what he is teaching. After that, you start writing your notes. If you don't listen to the classes carefully, you need to spend at least 3 times more time to get the same command. That means you are spending 3 times more than what is required. It is like poor efficiency. If you want to utilize your time in an efficient manner, you first listen to the classes effectively. For example, if a faculty is teaching 1 hour of class, if you listen to it attentively, it is hardly sufficient to revise it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is hardly enough to revise the class, 1 hour of class being taught by the faculty, provided you have listened to it attentively. If you don't listen to it attentively, to get equal amount of command, you must spend at least 3 hours of time, which is unnecessary wastage of time. So that's why start listening to the classes effectively, attentively. That's very important. Spend more time on interpreting or understanding the problem. Several students commit this mistake. They don't spend enough time in understanding the problem. So try to understand the meaning of each and every word given in the problem. You must know the meaning of each and every word given in the problem. So try to interpret the problem in such a detailed manner. So try to visualize the problem. Visualize the problem as if you are in that position. Understanding the problem is half done. If you understand the problem properly, that means half of the problem is already solved. That's why, my dear students, spend enough time in understanding the problem. So that's going to fetch you more results. You must understand each and every word mentioned in the problem. Don't take anything granted. So try to interpret each problem in multiple dimensions. So try to analyze multiple aspects of the problem by thinking in multiple dimensions. While reading the problem itself, try to memorize majority points. Several students have a bad habit. So they keep referring the problem for multiple items. For example, while solving, if they doesn't remember how much is the rate of depreciation, they will need to once again read the problem and identify the rate of depreciation. Instead of doing so, while reading the problem itself, try to memorize everything. What is the rate of depreciation? What is the lifespan of the machine? So what is the return on value of the machine? What is the tax rate? Everything. While reading the problem itself, try to memorize everything so that for each small thing, you don't need to refer the problem once again. It is like improving your efficiency. So it is not a good practice to refer the problem for multiple times. So never copy the solution written by the faculty on the board. You first listen what the faculty is teaching. After that, try to solve the problem in your notes without looking at the solution written by the faculty. Why? It is like your first revision. It is like your first revision. When you do so, you are doing like your first revision. You first listen what the faculty is teaching. After completion of the same, you start writing your notes. You start writing the solution in your notes without looking at the solution written by the faculty. With this, you will be doing your first revision in the classroom itself. That's what I was saying. Your revision starts in the classroom itself, not after completion of syllabus. As we learned in forgetting curve, so there is a famous study made on forgetting curve. What is this forgetting curve says? Whatever you learn, by the end of the day, you will be forgetting 70% what you have done. So within 1 month, you will be forgetting around 90% of what you have learned. So then what is the solution for this? You must be able to revise within 1 hour of learning. Whatever you have learned now, within 1 hour you must be able to revise it. And when shall you make your second revision? By the end of the day. Let us apply the same logic here also. So you must revise the problem immediately in the classroom itself. That is, within 1 hour you must revise. For that purpose, you first listen what the faculty is teaching and try to solve the problem on your own without looking at the board. Even if it is required to copy down, don't write line by line. Look at the entire content of the board once and start writing the same in your notebook. It is almost like first revision. In each problem, you may come across 1 or 2 important points which are unique, or you feel to be important, or you feel to be tough. So highlight all such points using a red pen. While reading the problem itself, while understanding the problem itself, identify the tough points in that problem and try to underline the same. Let us take the example of final accounts chapter in accounts. You have already solved your first problem and you have started your second problem. So do you feel that each and every point in the second problem is new? Definitely not. 90% of the points in second problem will be exactly same as first problem. Only 10% points will be new in the second problem. What I personally feel is, it is sufficient to focus on the 10% new points rather than focusing on the entire problem. So that's why identify the 10% points in the second problem which are new in that problem. So while reading the problem itself, while understanding the problem itself in the classroom, try to underline the points which you feel to be tough, which you feel to be unique in that particular problem, and try to do such highlight using a red pen. Its impact will be there on few areas in the solution. So whatever the new points are there in the problem, its impact will be there at 2 or 3 locations in the solution. So in your revision time, is it really required to refer the entire problem and entire solution? I don't think so. It is sufficient to identify the unique points in that problem and it is sufficient to revise the same. Similarly, it is sufficient to see its impact in the solution rather than looking at the entire solution. In this way, you can save a lot of time. Without losing the effectiveness, you can revise the problem in a very lesser amount of time. So that's why wherever its impact will be there on the solution, highlight those areas using a highlighter. That means the unique points in the problem you need to underline using a red pen. So wherever its impact is there on the solution, you need to highlight the same using a highlighter. So this will hardly take few minutes of time now, but it will save you hours of time in your revision. As we already discussed in the forgetting curve, that first revision has to be done within 1 hour and second revision has to be done within the day itself. That's why, my dear students, before the end of the day, try to revise the problems once again. So this time while revising, you need not refer the entire problem. It is sufficient for you to refer the points which you have already underlined in the problem, and it is not required for you to refer the entire solution. It is sufficient for you to focus on the points, focus on the areas which you have already highlighted in the notebook. That's why you must finish off your second revision by the end of the day. If you feel that a particular problem is very easy and does not require to be revised again in your future, then strike it off clearly. So strike it off clearly, visibly. So whenever you feel that a particular problem is very easy and does not require any revision, then immediately strike off such problem so that you don't waste your valuable time in revising that problem again in future. Even if you can solve all the problems, you must indicate the same to your brain clearly. That is why all these arrangements. Use the margins intelligently. Don't forget that whatever you write in the margin, it gets highlighted. That's why identify the unique points at the problem and write the same in the margin, either top margin or bottom margin. Better to write using a red pen rather than blue pen, because whatever you write using a red pen, it gets highlighted permanently. Anything written in the margin gets highlighted in your revision. So whatever the important or unique or tough points that you have identified in the problem, state the same in the margin using a red pen only. So immediately after completion of class, revise the same. It will hardly take 5 minutes to revise the problem taught in 1 hour of class. I have already told the first revision must be done within the classroom itself. You can use even the time taken by faculty to change the revise. So it will take 5 to 10 minutes from one faculty to change to another faculty. So after completion of class, faculty needs to get changed. Even you don't waste that time. In that 5 minutes of time, you can revise the class being taught in 1 hour. As we already discussed, first revision must be done within 1 hour. So this will serve that purpose. Use the break time to revise the problem start by the faculty and concentrate on rework at home. So whenever there is a break time, you start revising the concepts taught by the faculty on that day and do your rework at home. Otherwise, you cannot revise the problems taught by the faculty on the same day. So your target should be before completion of the day, end of the day, you must be able to revise everything taught by the faculty. After completion of chapter, you must finish third revision within 1 week. So you must finish fourth revision within a month. Otherwise, you will forget. This is what the study shows. This is what the scientific study shows. It's called forgetting curve. So a famous scientist has made this observation, has made this study and given observation in the name of forgetting curve. Based on that forgetting curve, I am saying all these things. So maintain an index in your notebook. First, give page numbers in your notebook. In your notebook, you give page numbers to each page. So you maintain an index, problem number, highlight part of that problem or unique point in that problem. Is it required to revise that problem again? Is it required to revise that problem day before exam? Page number in the notebook. In this manner, you try to maintain an index. Sir, what is the benefit of this index? Just remember the situation day before exam. In just a few hours of time, you must revise the entire syllabus which you have taken around 9 months to learn. So that's why, my dear students, if you maintain this kind of index, just by looking at the index, you can understand the areas to be revised again and again. Day before exam, just by looking at the index, you can understand the problems which require to be revised. That's why, my dear students, maintain an index of your notebook. Whenever you commit a mistake, try to highlight it using a red pen so that you don't repeat the mistake again. Several students have a habit that they want to hide their mistakes, but never do that. Highlight the mistakes. In your revision, when that mistake gets highlighted, you will not repeat the same mistake in the public exam. In simple words, whenever you commit a mistake while solving a problem, try to highlight it using a highlighter or a red pen so that they get highlighted in your revision and you don't commit the same mistake in the public exam. So those who learn from the mistakes, they can perform well in the public exam. Don't forget that you can solve all the problems only once. Don't be in a wrong notion that you can solve all the problems again. Several students have a wrong notion that let us start solving all the problems at the time of revision, that is after completion of syllabus. But once after completion of syllabus, they will realize that they don't have enough time to revise. That's why, my dear students, so try to utilize your classroom time in the best possible manner. So it is impossible to do revision of all the problems once again at your home or after completion of syllabus. By the time syllabus gets complete, you must finish preparation of all problematic papers. Because after completion of syllabus, your major focus should be on theory papers rather than problematic papers. Don't forget to refer the RTPs and MTPs of recent attempts which I have already discussed earlier. If you have not yet done the above works till now, so then at least start doing the same immediately during your revision time. Alternatively, identify the student who has followed all these points and take Xerox of notebook from that student. If you have not understood a particular chapter, then set right the same before completion of coaching. Don't postpone it. So several students have a habit that if they doesn't understand a particular chapter, they'll try to postpone it, the preparation of that chapter after completion of syllabus. But after completion of syllabus, there are several other works to do. You will be very much busy with various works. You will not find enough time to set right these issues. That's why you try to set right those issues on some Sunday, on some holidays, anytime before completion of coaching itself. How to prepare for weekend exams? Frankly speaking, if you listen to the classes well, there is no requirement to prepare for weekend exams separately. Time available to prepare a chapter for weekend exam is equal to time available to prepare the same chapter for completion of coaching. Several students have a wrong notion that after completion of coaching, we will have plenty of time. No, you will not have plenty of time, because by that time, you might have forgotten everything. The advantage that you have in weekend exams is, even though the available time is less, but you will be able to remember majority of the concepts recently taught in the classroom, because generally weekend exams will be conducted in the syllabus recently taught. But after completion of coaching, when you start revising the topics, what happens is, by that time you might have forgotten everything. That's why you need more time to revise. So in simple words, it's very easy to prepare for weekend exams, as you will be able to remember everything. It's very tough to revise after completion of coaching, because by that time you might have forgotten everything. That's why you take your weekend exams very seriously. Don't solve or refer the entire problem. Just refer the points underlined by you in the material and highlighted by you in the notebook. It's not even required to refer the entire problem, because every problem consists of only 10 to 20% new points, and 80% of the points might have already covered in the previous problems. You need not revise the problems striked off by you earlier. You might have already struck off some problems in the classroom itself while listening to the classroom itself. You need not revise those problems once again. In each revision, you must strike off some more problems. For example, when one problem is taught for the first time, you may feel to be very important and you don't incline to strike it off. But when you come to revision, so you might have get enough knowledge about that particular model, then you may get inclined to strike off that problem now. So the problem which you were not able to strike off at the beginning of the chapter, by the end of the chapter you will get enough command over the chapter and you will be able to strike off the same. All these things needs to be done in the weekend exams only. So when you strike off unnecessary problems for the weekend examinations, then what happens is, in your next revision, the problems which you require to be revised will come down. As a result, your efficiency will improve in the next revision. So during coaching, we will not have time to revise and prepare for the weekend exams. What can we do? If you follow all the points stated in the previous slides with respect to care to be taken while attending classes, then there is no need to worry about preparation for weekend exams. If you listen to the classes well, then it's not required to prepare separately for weekend exams. If you have followed all the tips told by you till now, then it's not required to spend any additional time in revising for weekend exams. In just a matter of 1 hour, you can start get ready for weekend exams. First, understand that is not required to prepare separately for exams. Why shall you prepare separately for exams? When you listen to the classes carefully, what is the need to prepare separately for exams? So prepare quick revision notes. In each chapter, you can find some new points or unique points or important points which you need to remember while solving the problems. So you try to note down all those points in a notebook, which is called quick revision notes. Cover all the key points to be remembered in that chapter in that quick revision notes. For example, formulae are points to be remembered while solving the problem. Assumptions to be taken while solving the problem. All these things, there are very good chances to forget. So you better write down all those things in a notebook and try to revise that notebook for multiple times. So this will help in quick revision of the subject. Try to revise such quick revision notes at least once in a week, if not possible at least once in a month. If you cannot prepare such quick revision notes on your own for all the subjects, then divide the subjects among your friends. So one friend needs to do accounts, one friend needs to do advanced accounting, one friend needs to do costing. After that, you try to exchange your work. In that manner, you can save a lot of your time. In that manner, you can improve your efficiency. For best results, try to maintain such notes in handwritten form rather than typed form. So you can even use apps like Google Keep, Evernote, and you can prepare quick revision notes for each chapter in the mobile phone itself. Since nowadays majority students have mobile phones, you can use your mobile phone for maintaining quick revision notes in the mobile phone itself. There are apps like Google Keep, Evernote, etc. You can write down everything in the mobile app itself, and whenever you find free time, whenever you are doing some journey and you don't have access to books, then you can directly open the mobile and start preparing quick revision notes. This will help you to improve your efficiency and effectiveness during your revision time, especially day before weekend exam or revision exam or pre-final exam or public exams. Whatever the work you are going to do now, its benefit you will understand only at the time of pre-final exams, public exams, revision exams. Immediately you will not find any use. How to revise or practice after completion of coaching? What are the best sources to prepare? The best sources to prepare are Mastermind's material itself. Is it really important to choose correct source? Yes, it is important. When you don't choose correct sources, that is when you don't choose the sources properly, then obviously your preparation will not yield any results. From which source we will get maximum number of problems in the public exam? Obviously Mastermind's material or any other material which is very much similar to that of study material. What is the litmus test to identify the best sources available? How many marks in the public examination or how many problems in the public examination are coming from that particular source? Based on that, we need to judge the quality of that material. For example, if majority of the problems in the public exam are being taken from Mastermind's material, then definitely Mastermind's material is ultimate. If you find any other source from which majority problems in the public exam are being repeated, then that is also best source. For example, study material. Majority problems in the public exam are being taken from study material itself. Then study material is also a best source. But Mastermind's material already consists of all the problems from study material, and we have also already included some other additional problems also. That's why Mastermind's material is far better than study material. I am not denying the importance of study material, but study material is already covered in Mastermind's material, and some other additional problems are also covered in Mastermind's material. Hence, you will get more benefit by referring Mastermind's material rather than study material. If you don't have access to Mastermind's material, then choose any other source from which majority problems are being appearing in the public exam. So number of problems or sources you need to prepare is not important. What is important is how you are solving them. You must know the reason for every step. So instead of knowing what to do, you must know why to do. So why to add, why to deduct, why to multiply. You must have logic for everything. Without knowing the logic, you don't know anything. You shall not take anything granted. You become more intelligent by posing right type of questions only. So you must pose right type of questions. Why? Why I have to do this? Why I need to add? Why I need to deduct? Why I need to multiply? Everything. You need to question everything and you need to find out answer for that. So what is the need to adopt the correct methods of revision or practice? Because the syllabus is vast. So the methods that you have followed to prepare for your 10th class or intermediate are outdated because there the syllabus is very less, but here the syllabus is vast. Similarly, if you look at a chess player, it will take years of hard work to become a master in the chess, to get expertise in the chess. Everybody knows the rules of chess. Even I am also aware of the rules of the chess. Then why it is taking years of time to practice? Because knowing of rules is different and practicing the same is different. That requires lot of practice. So playing of chess requires lot of practice. Even though I know the rules, I must know where to implement them, where to apply them. That requires practice. Similarly, for driving a car, what are the things you need to learn? First, you need to understand how to operate gear rod, how to operate clutch, how to operate brake, how to operate steering. So, clutch, accelerator, brake, gear rod, and steering. Only 5 items. How much time will it take for me to explain all these 5 elements to you? It will hardly take 5 minutes. How to rotate the steering? It's a matter of 1 minute. How to change the gear rod? It's a matter of 1 minute. How to operate the clutch? It's a matter of 1 minute. So it will hardly take 5 minutes for me to explain all these 5 elements. Will you be able to drive the car just with 5 minutes of these instructions? Definitely not. Why? Knowing these 5 elements is different, but doing all these 5 things, operating all these 5 elements in a coordinated manner requires a lot of practice. So knowing is different, doing is different. If you want to drive the car, you need practice. It's not sufficient to know how to operate these 5 elements. So, racing games. Just by playing a video game, can you participate in the racing game? Definitely not. It requires hands-on experience. So knowing is different, hands-on experience is different. So how a cricketer is working? Will he do net practice or not? Even the player with highest number of years of experience has to do net practice before getting selected for a match. So practice is that much important. Even the senior most actors do rehearsals at home. So what you can observe, persons in various fields are practicing to excel in their field. But unfortunately, we the students are underestimating the importance of practice. I have observed thousands of students who go to the exam hall just by looking at the solutions in the notebook. Are you writing a oral exam? You are writing a written exam. In such a case, your practice should also be in the written form. You need to write the exam in written form. Then how can you just look at the answer and feel that you are able to answer the same? It is like driving a car just by knowing these 5 elements. How can you drive the car? You require practice. Just by looking at the notebook, you might be able to know what is given in the notebook. But if you want to write the exam, you need practice. You need to solve it on paper since it is a written exam. Is the way in which we revise our practice is correct or not? What does the course demand? What the course demand is, you need to solve the problem on your own. You need to solve the problem on notebook because you need to write a written exam. It's not oral exam. If it is an oral exam, then it is sufficient to refer. But it's not an oral exam, it's a written exam which requires practice. Why should I change the way I practice from 10th or intermediate levels? Several students will pose this question. Sir, why should I change? I have been doing in the same manner in my 10th class and intermediate. There the syllabus is very less. Here the syllabus is vast. There the syllabus is very simple. Here the syllabus is very complex. First read and now let us try to understand what is a scientific way to practice. So first you open your notebook and material. Read the problem carefully. Try to understand each and every point given in the problem. Try to visualize the problem. Try to know the meaning of each and every word given in the problem. So understanding the problem is half done. That means it is already 50% solved when you understand the problem carefully. That's why try to spend a quality amount of time in understanding the problem first. After that, you refer the solution given in your notebook. So read the problem thoroughly. After that, refer the solution given in your notebook thoroughly. After that, close the notebook and try to solve it on your own. You need not do it for every problem. You put a target of 5 problems, refer those 5 problems. After completion of 5 problems, close the notebook and try to solve each and every problem in a separate notes, in a new notebook. Try to solve it on your own. Before solving the problem, first to visualize what is given in the problem. Try to solve in your mind first. After that, put it on paper. If you don't know how to visualize, then put it on a rough paper. After that, try to put everything fairly. Don't forget to mention the time taken by you against each problem. So after completing solving that problem, try to note down the time within which you are able to finish solving that problem. And don't forget, you need to solve the problem in the same manner in which you are supposed to do in the public exam. In the public exam, presentation plays a very important role. Similarly, while doing your practice, you need to give utmost importance to the presentation. So, you need to solve the problem neatly. You need to solve the problem without looking at the solution. And you must note down the time within which you are able to solve the problem. In your public exam, for solving a 10 marks problem, you will hardly get around 15 to 16 minutes. Similarly, while solving the problem, that 10 marks problem, You must be able to solve the same within 15 to 16 minutes of time. Let us assume you have taken 20 minutes of time to solve the same. Is it called right practice? How can you call so? You are supposed to solve the same problem in public exam in 16 minutes and you have taken 20 minutes to solve the same here. Then it's not a right practice. So you must solve the problem once again. You must practice the problem once again and try to finish off everything within that 15 or 16 minutes of time. Is it so important to solve the problem within the given time? Yes, because you need to solve the problem in the public exam within the given time frame. In how many minutes we are supposed to solve each problem? A 10 minutes problem, you must be able to solve in 15 to 16 minutes of time. Is it really required to solve the problem neatly, or is it sufficient to do rough work? No rough work business. You need to solve everything neatly because you are supposed to do the same in the public exam. It is like practice. After that, analyze where and why you went wrong. Definitely, you might have committed some mistakes. For example, you have taken a target of 5 problems. You have solved all the 5 problems. Now open the notebook and verify your solutions on your own. Don't depend on others. So identify the mistakes done by you. Why you have committed some mistakes, like wrong interpretation of the problem, doing some calculation mistakes. So there might be several reasons for committing a mistake. Identify the reasons for doing such mistakes and take some measures to see that you don't commit the same mistake again. For example, you have identified that there is a calculation mistake. So you must practice your calculator blindfold so that you don't repeat the same mistake again. So in that manner, analyze where you have committed a mistake, why you have committed a mistake, and what are the steps required to see that you don't commit the same mistake again. Take steps to see that you don't commit the same mistake again. This is how a scientific way in which you need to practice the problems. Identify the mistakes done by you and highlight such areas using a red pen and highlighter so that you don't repeat the same mistake again. As I've already told, whenever you commit a mistake, you try to highlight the same so that you don't repeat the same mistake again. Don't forget that more the mistakes you do here, there are less chances of doing the same mistake in the public exam. Observe how a child learns crawling. While learning crawling, a child falls for several times, but he will not lose his confidence. He will start putting more and more efforts on trying to learn crawling. Similarly, while trying to learn walking, a child falls for several times, but even then he pushes himself hard and he tries to rectify his mistakes, and ultimately he learns how to walk. Similarly, running. Similarly, cycling. For example, while you were learning cycle for the first time, definitely you might have committed several mistakes. But as you gradually practice the same, you will decrease the number of mistakes being committed. Similarly, when you are solving the problems for the first time, there are very good chances that you commit several mistakes. But when you keep practicing the same, then the number of mistakes being committed by you will start decreasing. In the entire process of revision or practice, the most important thing is how many mistakes you have done. That is a crux. That is the main point. So more the mistakes you commit, it's better. It's better because you don't commit the same mistake again in the public exam. If needed, you need to solve the problem again until you are able to solve it correctly within the standard time with neat presentation, just like public exam. If needed, you solve the problem repeatedly until you are able to solve it correctly without looking at the notes within the given time frame and with the neat presentation. Don't do the above practice separately for each problem. Do it for the entire chapter, and if you can't do so, then at least implement it model wise. Ignore the problems that you have striked off earlier. Focus on remaining problems only. In each revision, you need to ignore the problems striked off earlier and you need to focus only on the problems which are not striked off. Strike off some more problems in your material. In each revision, you must be able to strike off some more problems. You must be in a position to strike off 80 to 90% of the problems in your material by the time you appear for public exams. What to do if you don't have enough time to solve all the problems as stated above? At least solve at least one problem for each model in the above stated manner. So if you don't have time even to do so, then at least do in the above manner for implement the above practice for important models in each chapter. So tinker the problem on your own. It's very, very important. Are you going to get the same problem in the public exam? Impossible. There will be slight modifications in the exam. Now what you need to do is try to make modifications in the problem on your own and analyze where its impact will be there on the solution. You must know the impact of change of each of any variable in the problem, because you will always get a new problem in the exam with minor modifications. You may get a problem which consists of best or unique points taken from multiple problems. So examiner will try to frame a new problem which consists of good points from various problems. So just that's why to handle such situation in a better manner, what you need to do is you try to make your own modifications in the problem and analyze its impact in the solution. You need not resolve the problem once again, but at least visualize its impact on the solution again. Based on that, you will able to handle a new problem in the public exam very comfortably. If needed, update the index being maintained by you. So even after doing the above work, if you don't revise or within a week, after that monthly once, then you will forget everything. That's what our forgetting curve says. That's why even after putting this much of efforts, after 1 week you must revise, after 1 month you must revise. If you want to refer multiple resources, then use the technique of division of labor. For example, for accounts, you plan to refer at least 3-4 sources. Then you do one thing. Share it among your 4 friends. Share it among your 4 friends. One will refer source 1, another one will refer source 2, another one will refer source 3, another one will refer source 4. They will identify the problems which are important, which are unique. And after the completion of your work, you exchange the work among yourselves. In this manner, you can save a lot of time without losing the efficiency. Getting ready for pre-final or final exams. So day before pre-final exams or final exams, you don't have much time to solve everything on paper. So at this moment of time, what you can do is you can just refer from the notebook. That's it. Never dare to revise all the chapters and all the problems. You don't have that much time. Day before public exam, you will have an inclination to refer each and every problem in the material. It's not possible, Nana. You will not have that much time. So you need to confine your preparation only to the problems which you have not striked off earlier. As I have already told, you must be in a position to strike off at least 80 to 90% of the problems before your pre-final or public examinations. You may feel that you forget everything. That's what the feeling of everyone. Don't worry, it happens to everyone, and you will definitely be able to memorize everything. You need not worry that you are not able to memorize. Refer only those problems that are listed by you in the index. So in the index, you have already identified the problems which requires to be revised day before exam. So you confine your preparation to those problems only. In other words, refer only those problems which are not stricken off by you earlier. Don't forget that it is not possible to solve problems at this moment. Yes, I'll agree. Just refer the points underlined in each problem and its impact being highlighted in the solution. As we have already done, we have underlined the important points in each problem and we have highlighted its impact in the solution. You just confine your preparation to those areas. No need to refer the complete problem and solution. Start with high weightage chapters and end with low weightage chapters. Initially, you start with high weightage chapters, and if time permits, then you end up with low weightage chapters. If you are afraid with respect to few chapters, then start preparing those chapters first. Don't postpone them. Better to have a plan with respect to number of hours you need to prepare each chapter and prepare accordingly. So otherwise what happens is, you will start preparing a particular chapter. By the time that chapter finishes, you will find that you don't have enough time to revise the remaining chapters. It will create a lot of tension in you. That's why you better have a study plan, how much of time you can allot to each chapter. You have a plan before starting the preparation itself, and strictly stick to that plan. Never neglect theory part in problematic papers. In every problematic paper, you will find some theory questions in the public exam. So never neglect that, because it's a very scoring area. Never take models or chapters completely as choice. You can take few problems in each model as choice. You cannot take the entire chapter as choice. In each model, you can take few problems as choice, and you need to prepare the remaining problems. Select a branded calculator of as bigger size as possible. You must be in a position to operate the same blindfold. You must be able to operate the calculator blindfold. For this purpose, we have already released calculator practice sheets. You better use them. This may save you few minutes of time in the exam, but as you know, even few seconds of time is valuable in the public exam. Don't forget that this is the only weapon you can take to the exam hall. Whenever you lose that calculator, you try to purchase the same model calculator again so that you don't lose your practice. While reading the problem, first read what is required to be done. Based on that, you can focus on important information in the problem. So for example, if you look at a problem, first read the last sentence of the problem. They will ask you, prepare balance sheet, prepare P&L account, prepare cash flow statement. What is required to be prepared? That is important. You first start reading the problem with that sentence, because based on that you can understand what is required to be focused, what is required to be not to be focused. Try to read and remember entire problem in your mind so that you did not refer the problem again and again. Also underline important points and important amounts given in the problem so that you need not read the problem again and again for even small information. Never neglect presentation in problematic papers. Presentation plays a very important role, and as you already know, stepwise marking allocation will be there. That's why you present the answer in the best possible manner. Answer should be very neat. You may not be able to implement all these points in a single day. Even I am not expecting you to do so. But start implementing few points on each day so that after few days you will become perfect in problematic papers. So if you prepare problematic papers in this manner, anybody could score exemption range of marks in problematic papers. All the best, man.